What are acceptance and evaluation criteria? These are the first techniques listed in BABOK, and in this video, I'm going to discuss about these in detail. How do you select a healthcare insurance plan? Do you consider the premium amount, deductibles, cover amount, exclusions, etc. to make your decision? These are nothing but the way to evaluate healthcare insurance plans amongst multiple alternatives. These are also known as evaluation criteria. So whenever we make a decision, we use certain evaluation parameters to make our decisions. Evaluation criteria defines a set of measurements which allow for ranking of alternatives against their value for the stakeholders. In case of insurance plan, the stakeholder is me or we. In simpler terms, we define evaluation criteria to compare all the alternatives before making a decision. In a software industry context, we can evaluate the options to build the solution or to buy an existing product to build the solution. The decision between the build versus buy can be made by evaluation criteria like the cost, the maintenance cost, the total cost of ownership, the support factor, and many similar criteria. Acceptance criteria refers to a minimum set of requirements that must be met to get a confirmation on the success of the solution implementation. So once a software module or application is completed, the user acceptance testing is conducted. In this case, the user is the customer. So how do they do the testing? Because unless we have defined certain set of parameters or rules which defines the end or completion of UAT or user acceptance testing. This is what is known as acceptance criteria. We use acceptance criteria for the entire project, for a module, or even for an individual requirement represented as user story. To summarize, acceptance criteria are used to assess a solution or a solution component. Acceptance criteria are written in the form of test cases and scenarios. Evaluation criteria, on the other hand, are used when multiple solution options are involved. So note the difference. Acceptance criteria are written for one solution which is being implemented. Evaluation criteria is used to compare multiple options before it is taken for implementation. Let's take a couple of examples to help you understand more. In the first example, a bank wants to have a retail lending software for making retail loans like housing loan. The bank has two options, either to get it developed from scratch or to buy a product and get it customized to suit their requirements. Customization in this case means changing the product functionality as per the bank's specific needs. So how will the bank decide which alternative to go for, build or buy? This is where evaluation criteria are used. In this case, bank and its team have picked up criteria which will be used to evaluate the build and buy option. Since there are two alternatives, we use evaluation criteria. After making the decision about an alternative, the solution will be developed by an IT team. And once the solution is ready, it needs to be tested by the customer and accepted. This is where acceptance criteria are used. In this case, the acceptance criteria are written as shown on the screen. Let's take another example. User stories are techniques for capturing high-level requirements and is very popular in agile approaches. User stories are written early in the project. As business analysts analyze the requirements, they create user stories and associated cards which include prototypes and acceptance criteria for each of the user stories. The acceptance criteria for a user story comprises of success and failure scenarios. For example, if you're writing a user story for logging of a customer or a user, the success scenario means when you enter the user ID and the password correctly, and the failure scenario is when either the login is incorrect or the password is incorrect. These acceptance criteria can be used by the tester as well as the customer for checking the correct implementation or correct development of the screen or the application. So, this is all about acceptance and evaluation criteria, very, very important technique to be used by business analyst in any project. In the next chapter, I'll be talking about backlog management.